Cooperation of this kind may be possible if firm cares future profit. Okay. Of course, the firm has incentive to cheat. After all, the current profit is higher. 5.1 is better than 4.6. But maybe, cooperation results in a bigger level, a higher level of profit in the longer run. Okay. So that's what we said as signaling here. That's where we don't call here. It means this is the reason why signaling may help pollution to be sustainable. The strategy that we're considering here is something like this. Okay. Suppose this is actually the thing that I mentioned. Suppose that American Airlines announced that it will be using this strategy to do small quantity each period as long as United Airlines does the same. If United Airlines take advantage of this and produce large quantity, then starting from that particular period, American Airlines will produce large quantity in T+1. That the period that follows, and all subsequent periods. And sometimes we have a name for this strategy. First, to cooperate, and if your opponent cheat, then you go back to the equilibrium strategy. And this strategy is what we call trade pair strategy. Try to cooperate until your opponent deviates from the agreement, from their cooperation agreement. Okay? So this is just like this one. The one that I specified. Is it clear? And obviously, if the game is played indefinitely, then the players should find it easier to collude. Obviously, because of this kind of difference, right? Obviously, because of this kind of difference. If the game is repeated indefinitely, then obviously, strategy 2 result in the higher payout. There will be cooperation. Any question up in here? No? Great. This is something interesting. I mean, this is going to tell you something different from what you have just learned in there. Suppose the game is being played, say, 10 times. I mean, the same game is being played for 10 times. So we have stage 1, and then stage 2, and then stage 3, etc., etc. 8, 9, and 10. All right. So in every stage, the airlines will compete in the same manner. And now, remember Barrow induction? So we start from the very end here. If you look at the normal form, what is the best? What is the optimal strategy for? What is the optimal strategy for the 2 airlines in the final period of the game? Hey, look at this. If I know, suppose you are United Airlines, and you know that American Airlines is adopting strategy that we described earlier. So produce a smaller quantity until you produce a large quantity, then I will produce a large quantity, right? Okay, so this is a strategy that American Airlines is adopting. So in this case, maybe say American Airlines will choose 48. What is your optimal Q here? 64. Why? Simple, because this is the last period. And that guy is not going to penalize me anyway. This is the final of the game, right? Expecting this to happen, will QA be 1 in 48? No. So it must be in the last period of the game, 64. Right? Yeah? Reset back. What happened in period 9? If I'm a United Airlines, I know that things will be simple, will be something like this in the 10th period, right? In the next period, what I do in this period, in the next period, we are going to produce more, right? No matter what happened in this period. True? So if I know that QA is a small number, I will be reducing more. Agree? Because you are going to penalize me, not with a penalty in that case. We will be competing in the 10th period anyway. So what does it mean? It means that even in the stage 9, you are not able to penalize me in the future anyway. So I'm not going to deviate from this and take advantage over this. Okay? And however, the problem is you are not the only smart guy in the game, because your opponent is expecting this to happen, so your opponent will set 64 as well, right? What happened here? The same thing. And this is what we have. Strictly speaking, if we are considering this kind of flag to punish with a long number of periods, for example 10, firms are not able to cooperate. Okay? So even though the game is repeated for 10 times, they're not able to do it because of this kind of reasoning. Alright? However, if we are considering a game with, that is repeated indefinitely, then there will be no such problem because there is no end of the game. Okay, you can always penalize the cheater if the game is being played indefinitely. Okay. So this is the theoretical result plus. This is a theoretical result. But is it likely to happen in reality? I mean, first of all, in reality, do we have a game that is being played indefinitely? Or are we talking about usually a game like this being played for a number of times only? In reality, usually, maybe this way. Maybe this kind of thing in reality. Agree? I mean, unfortunately, in reality, nothing is indefinite, right? So people will die, so we'll be heading down here, usually. Okay. So that's what it say, strictly speaking, if you adopt this kind of reasoning, repeated game has nothing to do with collusive suspension, that kind of thing. Okay. So even though the game is being played, repeatedly, collusion cannot be really sustainable because of this kind of argument. I mean, strictly speaking. However, obviously, this kind of idea, does not apply in reality, right? In reality, we do observe collusion, even though the game is only, being played repeatedly for say 3 or 4 times. Okay. What does it mean? What does it mean? It means that maybe this is a little bit too much. I mean, in economics, we always assume that people are rational, and we actually assume that people are perfectly rational, right? Just as what we have done here. However, in reality, obviously, usually people are not really that smart. I mean, if the game is being played for 10 times, it's actually not likely that people can do this kind of reasoning to the very end of the game. Okay? Simply because people are not really that smart. Okay? If people are not really that smart, then collusion becomes more possible. Do you see the point? I mean, this is the theory. I mean, game theory is actually very useful too. However, sometimes I think that this is going too far because this is not something happening in reality. Okay, so I mean, it makes perfect sense to say this kind of thing. However, just that is not really applicable. Okay. So that's yeah. But anyway, theoretically speaking, this one, the container is more likely to have a game that will continue forever or has an uncertain ending time. This is actually interesting as well. Uncertain ending time. But we won't talk about this too much. Sometimes, I mean, a variation of this is that we don't know the exact period of the time that the game is being played. But we know that for every stage, there is a probability that the game will end today. I mean, this is just like what we have in reality, right? So every day there is a slight probability that you will die. Every day. Or, I mean, it is doomsday. Okay? The end of the world. Every day we have a slight probability, right? So if this is the case, if you take into account this kind of thing, then collusion actually, I mean, after some kind of calculation, you will find out that collusion becomes more likely. All right, but I mean, strictly speaking, in a game with this kind of well-specified thing, collusion conceptually is not possible. Any question over here?唔好準時啦，唔講啦，收檔啦不如。好攰。好啦，嚟啦，真係㗎，係啊，唔講啊。